Hi, today I'm gonna just show you how to solve for x. Part two is just using your knowledge about completing the square. On part one, I just show you how to use quadratic formula. So on part two is just gonna show you how to come to solve for x using your knowledge on completing the square. Okay, so how do you do that? So basically, let's say your note. Let's say you have let's say we have this. You have ax squared plus bx plus c, which is your quadratic formula or quadratic equation. And so to complete the square, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the coefficient of x squared, in this case, which is a, the coefficient of x squared, right? So you divide by a throughout. So you're gonna have x squared plus, so you're gonna factor out a, basically. That's what you're gonna do. So you're gonna have a b over a x plus c over a is equal to 0. So what you did there, you factor out a, so x squared was left with just 1, and then b is b over a, c over a. Okay, and then from here, so obviously obviously from here, so from here we can just divide by a on both sides, just to show you that this is gonna be x squared plus b over ax plus c over a is equal to 0. Okay, now from here, what we are trying to do is we're trying to make sure that x squared, the coefficient of x squared is 1. That's what we're trying to do. So that every time when your coefficient of x squared is not 1, you have to do this step to make sure that your coefficient of x squared is 1. So that this method here will be applicable. And from here, what you're going to do is, normally what I do is just open big bracket, square it, and open the small bracket, square it, and just equate it to just before, maybe equate it to 0 like that. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna say now let me just wrap this off. Okay, so wrapping is off. So you're gonna have, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna just divide this by x. So x squared over x is x, and divide all of this by 2x, right? Let me write it with red, by 2x. So it's important. That's how you're gonna do it. Just divide by x. The first one divided by x, second one divide by 2x. Okay, so you're gonna have plus b over a divided by 2. Okay, because what you're gonna have, x and x will cancel, right? And and what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this whole thing here and put it here. So you're gonna have b over a divided by 2, and then plus this thing here, c over a, equal to 0. So that's how you're gonna do it, and then you just solve for x. So from here, you're gonna have x. I don't think it's necessary for me to go in details with this one here, but this is the idea. So let me just give you an example that I can go in details with it, so that you can follow, because some other people can't follow the letters like B and A and C. They can't really see what's going on, right? So let me just go back to our original example. I'll solve for x given x squared is equal to 5x minus 4. So let's do what you did. So we're trying to make sure that this thing here is in this form, right? So we're just trying to make sure that it's your right hand side is basically equal to 0. So you're gonna have x squared, take this, put the other side, it's gonna be minus 5x square to negative 4, and then take negative 4, put this other side is going to be x squared minus 5x plus 4 equal to 0. So now you see that this is on this form, which is good. That's what you're looking for. And then now you see that black key as the coefficient of x squared is 1. It's not something a, or it's not something not 1. So we don't need to do the step here. So what you're gonna do is jump to the step here. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna just say x squared over x, right? That's gonna be x, and then divide the whole thing, negative 5x by positive 2. What you're gonna have negative 5 over 2, and then square that, minus the small square, which is this whole thing over here, 5 over 2 squared, plus 4, there's 4 here, equal to 0. So that's what we did over there. So from here you're gonna have x minus 5 over 2 squared minus, so 5. So what you're gonna do, 5 over 2, basically you can even take your calculator and punch it out. 5 over 2, square that. So basically that's going to be 25 over 4. Right? 25 over 4 plus 4 is equal to 0. Can you actually take your calculator and just type on your calculator 5 over 2 squared plus 4, right? So 25 minus negative 5 over 2 squared plus 4, negative 25 over 4 plus 4. So you're going to get negative 9 over 4. So that's going to be x minus 5 over 2 squared minus 9 over 4 is equal to 0. And then this is going to be x minus 5 over 2 squared. So you take this, put the other side, it's going to be 9 over 4, right? Now we're solving for x, remember? So from here, you can just introduce the square root. So it's going to have x minus 5 over 2 squared, and square this on both sides, 9 over 4. You know, when you introduce the square root, you're going to have plus or minus. This is very important. A lot of people forget that every time when you introduce the square root, put plus or minus. It's very important. It's going to shift your answers in the right direction. Please, when you put a square root on both sides, please put plus or minus. It's part of how the square root works, right? So that's going to be x minus 5 over 2. So the square root to cancel the square, and then plus or minus. So if you take a calculator and say the square root of 9 over 4, you're going to have 3 over 2. Plus or minus 3 over 2. So from here, this is x minus 5 over 2 plus or minus 3 over 2. This implies that so when you take negative 5 and put the other side, it's going to be x is equal to plus or minus 3 over 2 plus 5 over 2. Now, you can take a calculator if you want to, but you know, these things actually can get your answer without a calculator, which I would encourage, just to get your answer without a calculator. But you know, just say 5 over 2, or you can say negative, let's start with negative 3 over 2 plus 5 over 2. You're gonna get that as 1, or, and then now let's make it positive 3 over 2 plus 5 over 2. You're gonna get your x is equal to 4. Voila, that's what we got on part 1, and that's what we get on part 2. It's another way of solving this question like this, using completing the square.